Hello and welcome everyone. We're going to be looking at basic bar charts today. But before we learn how to actually make one, we're going to talk about why you would use a bar chart and what they're good for. So bar charts are kind of one of the primary visualization types. They're really helpful for comparing categorical variables. So you can see here, we're looking at our regions and then our categories, and then we're comparing the quantity of items sold. What's nice about bar charts is my eyes can quickly scan the data to find kind of who are my high performing regions, who are my low performing regions, and it's easy for my eyes to make those comparisons. So this is a horizontal bar chart, so the length of the bar represents kind of the quantity of items sold. We also have vertical bar charts, where the height of the bar now in this case would show our profit by region and segment. So again, I can see within each one of my store segments how the different regions are doing. And bar charts make it pretty easy for my eyes to just kind of survey the data and be able to draw very quick comparisons without really having to dive into the data too much. And I think that's what people really appreciate about bar charts is their simplicity to convey a message or to tell a story very quickly. I don't have to spend much time looking at it, but my eyes quickly see that within each one of my segments, my West region seems to be outperforming every other region. Now that we know what bar charts are, let's go take a look at how we actually make these. Today we're going to be looking at how to make a basic bar chart using our sample Superstore dataset. I'm using a fresh new workbook here. If you are working in an already created workbook, you can create a new sheet down here by clicking this button. I'm going to be working with this fresh sheet one. I'm going to go ahead and rename my sheet. I'm just going to call this basic bar chart. We're going to be creating a horizontal bar chart of our subcategory and then sales. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to come over to our data pane and I'm going to grab subcategory and place that on the row shelf. I like placing my categories, kind of my dimensions over here on the rows when I'm making bar charts because it gives me this space so all my headers show up. If I put this on my columns shelf, you notice I get my headers kind of are squished and then some of them are being cut off. And so I'll have to manually kind of go in and space those columns out. And I really don't like having to do that. So that's why I like putting subcategory on the row shelf so that I have enough space for those headers. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab sales. We're going to put that on the column shelf. You'll notice at this point we actually have our bar chart, our nice horizontal bar chart of sales by subcategory. So at this point, most of what we're going to be doing is just some cleaning up and formatting. First thing I'm going to do is I don't need this to say subcategory. It's pretty apparent that these are my subcategories. So I'm going to right click on that subcategory label and then come down here where it says hide field labels for rows. Next thing I'm going to do is my title here says basic bar chart because I named the sheet that. So I'm going to double click on that title and it's going to open up this edit title window. And then in here, let's type in sales by subcategory. I'm going to click OK. I would like if my labels showed up so I could see for tables or supplies exactly how much I had in sales. So to accomplish that, we're going to come over here to my marks card and click on the label button. And then we're going to choose show mark labels. You'll notice I now have a value for each one of my bars. With this little dialog box showing up, I have some other options in here that you can play around with. If you want to close this dialog box, all you need to do is click anywhere outside of it. I like clicking down in this gray area here because nothing happens when I click down here other than that window closes. Next thing we're going to do is I want my sales, so you notice these are just coming up as a number, but because I'm dealing with sales, I probably want this to show as dollars, but I want sales to always show as dollars. So what we're going to do is in our data pane, we're going to set a default number property on our sales field. So I'm going to right click on sales, come down to default properties, and then number format. Let's do currency custom, and then we don't need any decimal places. I'll leave the rest of these as their defaults. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now you'll notice that my axis, my tooltips, and all of my labels are updated to show my sales in dollar amounts. Speaking of our tooltip, let's go ahead and clean that up a little bit. So I'm going to click on my tooltip button. That's going to open up our edit tooltip. First thing I'm going to do is just get rid of that subcategory header. I don't need it to say subcategory. And then I'm going to highlight the actual subcategory field itself. And I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger, probably size 12. If you want to see what your tooltip's going to look like, you can hit preview. And that's what it's going to be, which I really like. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Now when I hover over each one of these, I see that my subcategory is large, and then I have the sales amount. Last thing we're going to do is change our color. So instead of this just being the default Tableau blue, I'm going to click on our color button. And let's choose kind of one of our medium grays here. And then very similar to the label button, if I want to get out of this color window, I can just click in this gray area down here, and that closes it. So here we have our sales by subcategory, basic horizontal bar chart. Thanks.